Lecky. Here comes Jared and Jensen. Howdy, y'all.
Hi.
Howdy, y'all.
Las Vegas!
How'd y'all sleep?
Did you sleep? Did you sleep is the question.
Did. I feel like I woke up and went, dude, I look like I partied in Vegas all night. But I legit did not.
Yeah, right.
I didn't, but anyways, apologies. I'll wake up soon.
That's just Vegas. You can party all night or not. You're still gonna look the same.
Yeah. I slept really well Friday to Saturday, and then last night for some reason I was like, I'm just wide awake. Anyways, thank y'all for bringing us to Vegas. Happy New Year. Really awesome to see all y'all. Who first time? Awesome.
Who first time?
I'm thinking very
Is your mom like an English teacher?
Yes. And my wife was an English major.
Right
now.
But none of that is rubbed off on you.
No.
Okay.
Sorry. Wait, clarify.
How many? First time.
Sorry, we're not going there.
No.
It is Vegas. It stays here. How was y'all's holidays? Good? Awesome. I see one hand kind of going so-so. All right, well, hopefully.
She's like, look, I'm here, all right?
What do you want from me?
Let's just take the win.
Stop asking so many questions. Well, awesome.
Speaking of questions.
Yeah, speaking of questions.
Can we answer some?
That was a quick hand up there. Yes. With the GoPro?
With regards to radio company, the music, what do you usually do first? Do you do the melody or do you usually do the lyrics first?
I usually start with...
Yes, Jared, tell us your process.
I just start humming, in the shower. And right when I'm washing under my left armpit, I'm like, this is gonna be good. Just use it.
And he works out the melody with.
You too?
I do. Steve and I will usually come up with a melody and then start humming what we think, the sound, where the words might go, and then we try to come up with the lyrics that fit the melody. So
that's really funny. Literally this morning, I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about Paul McCartney creating Get Back. Get Back to what? And they were saying he was like walking around going like, and he had the melody in his head, and then
had to
put
find the
words to
lyrics.
it. Yeah.
I think that's probably a more common way of doing it. Writing a poem and then trying to put music to those words, I think would be much more difficult.
I don't know either.
So, yeah.
I think they would both be difficult.
So yeah, that's generally what we do. Thanks. Oh my God.
Question from the squeaky toy.
About right here, yes. Hey.
So I come to Vegas Con every year because I live here, and I always wake up with a movie.
You say you come to Vegas every year because you...
I come to Vegas Con every year, yeah, because I live here.
She waits for us to come to her.
I come to Austin all the time. I live there, right?
And with the possibility of there not being a Vegas Con next year, I just wanted to first thank you guys for always showing up and giving us so much of your time and attention. Because it really makes it worth the ticket price, and to just have you guys making it so special for us every time you guys come. So I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
My question is, without saying the casting crew that you love working with, what do you miss most?
Who do you hate working with? Who's the...
What do you miss most about being Sam and Dean, and what was the hardest part of them to drop for your next character? What was the habit that was hardest to get rid of in pursuing your next character?
That's a great question. Thank you back for bringing us to Vegas, being part of what brought us to Vegas for many years. I guess I'll give this a shot.
I got it. You want to think about it? Well, I'll kind of go in reverse. I think the first thing that I did after Supernatural was Boys, and
You were awesome.
the thing that I was most fearful of was using Dean's voice, and it was something. Luckily, I had Kripke watching my back. I had Phil Segricha watching my back, and I remember. I think there might have been a couple of takes where Phil had to step in. He's like, "Hey, what's that?" And I'm like, "Sorry, it's my go-to. All right, been doing it for a long time." So I think I was. Well, I'll take Kripke's word for it when he said that he never saw Dean in what Soldier Boy was. So I think that was the pat on the back that I was looking for. But that was a hard thing to kind of drop and to get out from underneath, was that kind of voice. And then what do I miss the most about? I would say, I mean, it's hard to come up with something other than the camaraderie of a film set that's been working together for the better part of 2 decades. It's that really was one of my favorite things about what I do for a living is the morning set walk, like getting to the trailer and then walking over to maybe get some breakfast and saying hi to all the caterer guys, seeing the morning kind of come to life with the camera guys pulling all the equipment out of the trucks and the grips and the electrics and everybody the whole thing starting to hum, and like that feeling and that just that camaraderie that exists between the whole crew and the cast and everybody gearing up for the day, because then it's going to be at least a 12 to 14 hour day every day, which is what Supernatural was. Everybody's gearing up for battle that day, and I miss those morning moments with people that I knew so well. You still got that on with Big Sky. I got to know those people, but it'll be hard to ever know your crew as well as we knew the Supernatural crew.
Yeah, same. That for sure. You know somebody, and Jensen's done 450 projects since Supernatural. I've done one, so I do have a kind of 2.5, 3 year experience with my Walker casting crew. So that's starting, but on Super, it wasn't just knowing somebody's name and knowing what they do for a living. We knew, like, hey, they got married 2 years ago or 6 years ago, or hey, they lost somebody 8 years. Like, check in on them. Like, you really knew these people. And that's just a product of time. I'll say that for me on Walker, kudos to Anna Fricke and Seamus Kevin Feige, who were kind of like co-running the writers' room at the time, because Jared felt out of sorts. But for those who've seen Walker, the first season, Cordell Walker is kind of out of sorts, and he's coming back from being undercover. It kind of worked, because I was like, I feel weird as Jared, but luckily Cordell feels weird, and I can be Courtney. One of the just random things, maybe not as deep as knowing the cast and crew so wonderfully. Walker, we don't have long setups. We don't shoot studio mode often, where there's a bunch of lighting. So he and I, like on Supernatural, we would go shoot a scene, and then they would be turning around. So we'd like have half an hour to go chill out, watch the news, call our families,
Play ping pong,
read an email, play soccer, whatever. On Walker, it's kind of like they're always ready, because it's not so crisp, like there will be a time where there's a shadow on your face. There will be a time where you're half obscured by the other actor, and they're like, cool, feels real, we move on. And so, like a day of work on Walker is shorter, but it's kind of a sprint. So we would shoot 14 hours, sometimes 16. I think Bugs was 18. We had like a third lunch or something.
Second breakfast.
Because you have to, if you're night shooting, you only have a location for a day, you have to get it done. And so,
You know what's funny is they never refer to any meal on set as dinner.
no, it's always lunch.
It's either lunch or second meal. That's it. They're like, no, we're not serving you guys dinner. They're like, but it's dinner. No.
And we, every year, had lunch at least once a year at like 1
At
a.m.
midnight, yeah.
Legit.
They would call lunch. That would be lunch.
Crew calls at 6 p.m. and
That would be
lunch-
breakfast.
That would be breakfast.
Breakfast at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
and then you eat your lunch at midnight.
But we'd have time in between to go catch up. We'd run lines, whatever. Walker's kind of like, get here and we're sprinting until we're done. And so that's been it was a you know a bit of a like
Adjustment.
say the
Bit of an
least.
adjustment.
Yeah. Like a slap in the face or something. But
There's also things that we probably can't talk about on Supernatural that we kind of grandfathered in.
it stays in Vegas, right?
Because we had started so long ago. I mean, when we started shooting Supernatural, we were doing it on 35mm film. I don't know of any show that films on actual film anymore. But there were just things that we kind of started to do early on and established as just our behavior that no other shows could get away. No other cast. They'd be like, "Wait, you guys do what?" We're like, "Yeah." And there was a lot of those things that we just kind of, everybody was just like, "No, that's just the way they've been doing it. So let's not rock the boat. Let them be themselves and do whatever that is." And we'd just be like,
for instance, you know, we started the show in 2005, and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff didn't really exist yet, and so when you signed your contract, there were no clauses about social media.
Oh, yeah.
And then come like 2012, when it was big and most people kind of interacted via social media, they would every year, every single fucking season, we'd have a piece of paper in our trailer, like the first episode, saying it was like social media guidelines and accepted policies or something.
you would assign it. It was like a commitment to following certain protocol with the studio and the network via your personal social media.
And
Jared, every time would just be like,
Never signed it.
never signed it once. And they always were like, did the boys sign it? No.
Okay. We never got, it was like no pictures behind the camera, no this, no that.
We're like,
so,
we got left alone and left to our own devices, and I do miss that, because now that we're on these new shows and stuff, we're having to follow the rules a little more closely.
toe the line a little bit better.
It was the Wild Wild West on Supernatural.
It was. All right, thank you. I'm gonna go right there with the red and black plaid, I think it is.
Hi.
Hi.
I would have Scotch tastings at lunch. So I mean, it was like, oh right. Sorry.
Yeah, if it was like midnight on a Friday, it was like,
Hey, I got about 6 bottles.
want a tram?
You know?
Yeah.
Let's go do a tasting.
Shut
That
up.
never happened.
Yeah, I don't have any alcohol in my trailer.
Right, because you're at work. You're not supposed to.
Nor did we ever.
Ever.
Hi.
For our birthdays.
Do y'all know that story?
Listen, we were young. We were young and
Dumb.
immature. We're still immature, but for our birthdays for the first few seasons, we'd get each other an entire keg of beer and put it in the trailer and would just drink it all day while working, just throughout the day. We'd just come back and like we were in college. And everyone on the production was just like, I don't see anything. As we got older, though, it became like a pony keg, which is like a half keg. And then like the next year, it was like one of those little 5-liter like Heineken kegs. And then it became just like a 6-pack of things.
What about, we also had this funny thing, speaking about how we would just kind of do things the way we did things. So, as much as we're making it sound like we were
Heathens.
horrific, we always got done on time. We always knew our lines,
That's right.
hit our marks, hung our wardrobe, all that stuff. But season 1, I believe it was. So we filmed in Canada, obviously. They don't recognize American Thanksgiving, which for Texans especially, and for a lot of America, is a bigger holiday than
It
Christmas.
is a religious holiday.
Yeah, because Christmas is, very much based in Christianity, and some people are not religious. So Thanksgiving was always like, okay, no one's spending any money, having to go to a store for 4 days, trying to figure out what to buy for who. It's always just like, hey, let's eat and drink and
Be merry.
be merry and watch the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And so season 1, we had to work that entire week, and we're like, that's cool. You make the schedule the way you want to make it. Here's the deal. We're going to be watching the Cowboys game. So, and we were shooting like an hour away from Vancouver and Langley or something. Yeah. And we're like, we'll just find the place closest that has the game on. Y'all can do whatever you want. We're going to be watching the Cowboys game on Thanksgiving. And so they got like a portable satellite dish and linked it into our trailer so that the Cowboys game would play on our trailer.
So we would stay closer to set.
So we would stay closer to set. But then we were like,
why don't we have this all the time?
And so from the
Boom, grandfathered in.
yeah. So people would be like, wait, you have like satellite, like
You have like
direct
DirecTV in your trailer?
Yeah. You don't? I remember a Mel, like where you have like TV.
That's
like,
right, a Mel.
yeah, everywhere.
A Mel was so mad.
And Cliffy knows the stories better than anybody, but sometimes our Teamsters would have to get there like an hour early
To set up the satellite.
It'd be like a 60-foot cord to the nearest place without trees that was facing the right direction, adjacent to the sun to find the right.
And it was always, every now and again we'd be shooting at a place where it's like, we're in the mountains or something and they couldn't get a signal there. We'd show up to work and be like, guys, bad news.
What?
We couldn't get a signal. I was like, oh, well, that's gonna be bad news for production because I'm gonna head back down the mountain.
Fast forward to like 15 people trying
On the top of the mountain ridge, like, anything?
Yeah, holding mirrors to like
No, sorry. That
Sorry.
was.
Yeah, sorry.
We're gonna keep coming back to this question. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
And then one time.
So, Jared, I know that you had a TikTok where you were doing spicy food.
Spicy boob?
Yeah.
Do you have TikTok? Are you on TikTok?
Or
I have TikTok.
it was Jen's TikTok, I think.
It was Jen's. Yeah, I remember that.
And
We were talking
Jared-
about this last night. As a matter of fact.
And then, Jared, I know you were supposed to be eating something spicy. I think it was jerky on Supernatural. And so I'm assuming you guys are all familiar with Hot Ones.
That's why I was doing the spicy thing.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Sorry.
No, please, I'm not gonna.
Let her ask the question, man.
So my question is, if you were invited to be on the show, would you go? And how well
Fuck
do you?
Yes. Yes.
How well
Capital
do you think
F.
you would do?
What's that? Well,
How well do you think you would do?
we had this conversation last night. So, legitimately, I got.
He didn't even drink his coffee this morning either.
I didn't, not yet. I got
Oh, good.
absolutely obsessed with Hot Ones, and met him in the green room of a UFC fight, and I saw him across the room, and I was like, and then he's kind of like talking with friends, looks across, and we kind of shared eye contact for a moment. So I walked up and I was like, hey man, I'm a really big fan. Like, I'd love to be on your show. I'm an actor. He's like, no, we've tried to get you on the show. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, we've tried to get you and Jensen on the show and like have a thing. And I was like, why don't we do it? And they were in Chicago at the time or something filming. And so after that, I was all like, yeah. By the way, I love spicy food anyways. So I went online and ordered like a bunch of super, super hot, and I ordered one called maybe Dave's Ghost Pepper.
Oh, Dave.
Dave. I
Damn
ordered
it, Dave.
like a really spicy I think you're supposed to put like a droplet in a vat of chili, and then everybody has diarrhea for a week. Basically, yeah. And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna practice. I'm gonna start like getting ready.
Start training.
And so I put a bunch on a little plate and dipped a chip in and had quite a bit. And Jen filmed it. I don't know how to find it, but every fluid in my body, neck up. Let me reword that. Everything above my clavicle just started draining. And I'm like sitting there just dripping tears and snot and drooling. I couldn't, like for an hour or two, I couldn't do anything. I put too much on. But I'd love to do it. And my big thing, Jensen and I have talked about it. Jensen, Misha, and I have talked about it. We want to do the three of us, hot ones. I think I do all right.
Yeah.
It would hurt.
Yeah, well, it would hurt, but it would be. I don't think I wouldn't go down. I wouldn't tap out.
No.
I just let my face melt off. It'd just like be sagging for like 6 weeks. What happened to you, hot ones?
Especially with the three of us, we get together. Like we're supportive.
Oh yeah, there's no tapping out.
Yeah. We're all like dads and doing our own thing, but we get together. It's like, yeah, you're doing 2, I'll do 3. You're doing 3, I'll do 4. I'll do 5 then. I don't care.
Yeah, we're not competitive at all. At all.
Within a certain realm, we're just like, nope. So I think.
So you guys hit up hot ones.
Yes.
Start.
Yes.
Start messaging them and say, clearly there's an opportunity here. Jeffrey D. Morgan did it over COVID. Yeah, he did it via Zoom over COVID, and I was talking to him about it. And he was like, and I guess they had brought up us to Jeff. Jeff was like, dude, they'd love to have you on. I was like,
I have his number. He was like, yeah, man.
we should make that happen sooner than later. Thank you.
Y'all can make it happen. Y'all can make it happen.
How about right here in the green dress?
Thank you guys for being here and for everything that you've done. I'm curious, as much as we've talked about what you've missed, what has been the best part about wrapping up such a momentous project?
Let me start with this one. I finally started to allow myself to be proud of it. You know? In no small part due to all y'all. But I think, and he and I have talked about this we talked about it for the 15 and a half years or whatever. But when you're in it, when you still have a job to do, you can't really toot your own horn or pat yourself on the back. But now with it in the rearview mirror, I'm like, yeah, that was pretty fucking cool. Like, yeah, we did work our asses off. Yeah, we did grow up a lot. Yeah, we did get better. Yeah, we did learn this. We did learn that. We made these friendships. At the time, you're like, don't tell me how cool it is, because I still have to wake up and do 8 pages. I still have to watch this video on my text messages of the fight I have to do tomorrow, so I can memorize the movements and practice it in my hotel room or my apartment. But now that it's finally behind us as of right now, I kind of can look around. I can go like, man, that was cool. That was cool. Yeah.
I was proud of the fact that we went out while still firing on all cylinders. That was one of my biggest fears, was that the show would start to decline in its quality, or we would run
as most do.
Right, like
in season 3 or 4.
right. And I think that was hard, because when you're still performing and working and telling a story and still love your characters and you're still playing at that level, to then walk away from it was hard, but it was also something that he and I talked about, of just like, well, let's not stick around until it starts to decline, until the audience loses its interest in us and the story starts to, get a little washed up, and then all of a sudden we start caring less and don't put in the effort. I still feel like we went out after winning the Super Bowl. So I'm proud of that. Yeah, I think it's one of the reasons why, we're still here talking about it.
Right.
Is because it wasn't dying. It was still very much alive and still had a lot to give. And I think that it still is giving. It's still kind of living on through this. And I think that's just setting up the return at some point.
And I'll say this, and this is something I've kind of had to vocalize as a parent, but I'll say this for me, and I'll say this for him, and for the cast at large, and the crew. I tell my kids often, because they're in the sports, and it's sports, like it's just kids running after a soccer ball and not, or whatever. But some of my kids get upset when they lose, and I'm like, hey, did you play your best? Like I'm very competitive, but not with you, not with him, not with anybody here. I just want to be the best I can be. Want to do the best job I can. If I get home at night and I won whatever game, but I didn't give it my best, I feel worse than if I lost but did my best. Like I'll never beat LeBron James in a one-on-one game, but if I work really hard and I can maybe dribble a couple times without him stealing it and dunking on me, then I'll be like,
still lose.
I'll lose, but I'll be like, hey, that's the best I can do. Like that's just the best I can be. It's not going to be as good as that. But I'll say this, obviously in 327 episodes, 8 days of filming per episode, that's 2,500 days that we got up and went to work. And
Might want to check your math on that one.
roughly, 2,600-ish.
Dude, I don't know.
But I'll say this, he and I were full aware, and I'm sure y'all are as well, that some episodes were not as good as some others. But every fucking day, every scene, every line, we gave it everything we had. And go out on that. Yeah. And I think we're literally going out on that. I'm saying...
That's it. They're pulling us.
Thank y'all so much.
It's that time. Thanks,
Happy
guys.
New Year.
Thanks for being here. We'll see y'all later.
To make moves, that must be